Welcome back to the Out of the Rough podcast. As always, my name is Nate with We Know Fantasy, and joining me as always is Jake. Jake, how are we doing today?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Just got through Monday and I'm ready to talk ex Honda Classic and now Cognizant Classic, I think it's called, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I don't even know what that company does. Like, I have no clue where or what they are. So I guess
Yeah, we'll
maybe
find
it's a good
out.
sponsorship on their end.
Right.
But yeah, we have that to talk about. The Cognizant Classic now, formerly the Honda Classic, and of course we have the SDC Championship over in the DP World Tour side of things. Last week was a good week for a lot of us. We had a pretty, I guess, quote unquote communal win with Van Drill winning on the DP World Tour. Kind of did it wire to wire. I hit him on Thursday with the first round leader there at 65-1, and then a lot of guys between what was it, 80 down to 40. Some hit him as an outright. So a good win there. I know you were on him on the outright side of things. So man, overall a good week in the positives. I know I didn't make any money on the PGA side of things. I did have an EVR first round leader bet in place, and so the night before. I was working out and I was just going through some of my stuff on my phone as I rode the bike, and I saw EVR and I started going back and forth, back and forth. I had this bet placed, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to cash this out. I'm going to go elsewhere, and cash that one out. So I almost doubled up on solo first round leaders. It would have been nice to do that, but either way, profitable week on my end, profitable week on your end. So you can never be mad about a profitable week, no matter how it comes about. But all right, before we move forward, Jake, where can we find you on social media?
Yep, you can find me at the Jake Freeman on Twitter. Sorry if you can hear the sirens in the background, but that's New York City for you. But yeah, DJ Freeman on Twitter. I've been posting some stuff this week. You can find my outright card and my article this week. But also just a shout out, you should join the Discord. Completely free to join. Big community, over 150 members. I think we're getting close to 175, 200. So help, continue to join and help build that community up. It's pretty much going all hours of the day, but feel free to mute and do whatever you need to in there. But yeah, we have a great community. It was a big community when everyone was rallying behind Van Driel. And it was kind of funny to see as people woke up on Sunday because it was in the middle of the day, or in the middle of the night when it ended. I was a late riser, so I woke up at 10 a.m. to a bunch of text messages or messages in there like, "Oh, I can't wait for Jake to see the results and to see everyone celebrate and kind of rally behind it together in there." So we're looking to build on that this week for both the Deep World Tour and PGA Tour.
Yeah, the Discord, a great place to be. Like you said, every hour of the day throughout the week. Mondays today, typically we're all in there building our cards together, back and forth discussion about who's our first clicks, how are we breaking down this event, this tournament, for both the DP and the PGA. So a great place to be, free to join. So make sure you check that out. If you haven't heard yet, we are on YouTube now. If you're watching this, thank you very much. I'm not sure why you would be watching it, but hey, if you are, thank you. But if you are, hit that subscribe button. If you're not watching this, you're on an audio outlet, go over there, check us out, drop us a follow. Right now, it'll just be the podcast, but we're hoping to get some exclusive stuff up there in terms of video content in the future as things do progress in that nature. Um, I'm not sure where I'm even at in this point. I guess follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at WKF Nate. Be sure to follow We Know Fantasy on all forms of social media at We Know Fantasy. Uh, Visit WeKnowFans.com for some more fantasy sports content, baseball, basketball, football, NASCAR, golf, everything between you have you covered. Fantasy baseball is coming up. I have some content in the works for that in terms of my sleeper picks for the week or the season. We'll be hosting a We Know Fantasy Baseball League. That's always a fun one to get into. I don't know. I'm just a giant baseball fan, so everything about baseball gets me going just as much as golf does. Of course, my in-depth, out of the rough articles are on there each and every week at the PGA, DP World Tour, and LPGA majors. Thorough breakdowns, full betting cards, DFS plays, everything you need to know can be found right there. Of course, on the We Know Fantasy Podcast Network, we have the We Know Fantasy NASCAR podcast. Cody and his wife Devin, fantastic work they do over there, breaking down like what we do here, essentially, just in the world of NASCAR, everything you need to know. I know they opened the season with a hit on William Byron, 20-1 at the Daytona 500. I don't think they were on Daniel Suarez last week. But I know they were on Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney was one of those three with the photo finish at the end. So I tell them they're
They were
Ryan
on
Blaney.
Blaney. They were on Blaney and Bush, so they really
Two of
Suarez
the
just beat
three.
him out. But
two of the
Yeah,
three.
it was a photo finish, but they
Yeah,
almost
that
had
could have
it.
gone either way. That was an interesting thing. But yeah, if you're just a sports fan in general or looking to make a few extra dollars, they know their stuff over there. So make sure you check them out. I think it's WKF Cody on Twitter. And of course, join our one and done if you haven't already. The We Know no, the Out of the Rough podcast, one and done. Essentially, you just pick a golfer each and every week, can't double up on your golfer, and you receive the points basically based on the money each golfer earns you picked. Uh, we're what 7, 8 events in now at this point of the season, somewhere around that number. Going well. I want to give a big shout out to those who remember to do it each and every week and get their picks. And there's been a bunch of guys in there who have done every single week since the start. But yeah, that's going well. And 3 tiers of prizes, not only overall, we also have signature events and majors. So if you haven't played yet, look forward to the Masters to hop in there. But even then, if you haven't played yet, you get in there and you hit a winner or two, you're going to be towards the top. I think the winner right now is like 3 mil in terms of total cash. So a win at one of these events is 1 point something. An elevated event's 3.5. So if you can hit a winner, you're going to be up there anyway. So check us out there. And we have the We Know Fantasy NASCAR one and done as well. Same thing, same premise, all of that as well. So hopefully I got everything included there. So let's move on to the content this week. I guess, what do you want to call it? The Cognizant Classic, formerly the Honda Classic. It is an event that, you know, due to its placement in the schedule, has a lot of criticism around it. Not only that, it lost one of the PGA, I think it was at the time PGA's longest standing sponsor in Honda since 1987, withdrew after last year because the fields were so low, the viewership was so low because of its placement. Of course, kicking off the Florida Swing each and every single season. After we have Pebble Beach, the Phoenix Open, the Genesis, and then you're hopping back across country right before the Arnold Palmer, the Players, all of those happening right around it. Of course, you're going to draw a big field, and it's not like this event isn't. It used to be a big name event like the PJ National, one of the historic uh, courses on tour. So it's not like it's just a one-off event in Houston. No offense to the Houston Open, but you get my point there. But yeah, the field this week though is a little bit better than what we have seen. Before we do hop into that, I mentioned everything there to go with the Cognizant Classic. Same thing, just a Honda Classic, different name. Everything else is the same. The field, of course, saved, I guess you can say, by Rory McIlroy in this week's field, world number 2. Headlines this week. There was actually 19 of the top 50 of the OWGR in this week's field, which is great to see because some of these tournaments we talk about that catch a lot of flack, like the Honda Classic, don't even have 6 or 7 in the top 50. So it's good to see 19 there. Some of those names include Cameron Young, Minwoo Lee, Russell Henley, Tom Kim, JT Poston, Sunjay Im, and Matt Fitzpatrick. Defending champion Chris Kirk is also back this week to defend his title last year. He took down the now fan favorite Eric Cole in a playoff. This was kind of the introduction to Eric Cole that everyone fell in love with him last year. The 30 some odd year PG eventual PGA Tour Rookie of the Year. Yeah, this was the event that kind of put Eric Cole out there for everyone to fall in love with. But additionally, Sepp Strapka won this event in 2022. He's back this week, attempts to win another one. Other former winners in this week's field include Sunjay Im in 2020, Keith Mitchell 19, Ricky Fowler 17, Patrick Harrington 2015 and 2005, Russell Henley 2014, Rory in 12, Camilo Villegas in 10, and Matt Kuchar in 2002. That's pretty impressive that he's still golfing after he won this event in 2002, 22 years ago. But all right, PJ National plays as a 7,125 yard par 71. Although short on paper, it is actually anything but a typical short course with the use of tight landing areas off the tee and heavy dosage of forced layups due to tight dog legs. Due to this, wedge play is pretty much removed, altogether. I think it's less than 11% of approach shots will come within 125 yards, and that leaves most of them to come from 125 to 200. Approximately 54% of those approach shots will come from 150 or 125 to 125 to 200. Excuse me, some of my words here. Of course, that number is well over the tour average. The course also plays one of the most difficult courses for approach shots over 150. So those are the long irons. Really need to tone it in this week to have an advantage. What really makes this course difficult is the randomness of the wind. Wind gusts can really deter any round, any shot at any given moment. It's not like if there's wind on the forecast, there's wind everywhere. It just happens. It's kind of where this course lays, and all the terrain around it causes this to happen. But again, very difficult course in a sense. To show the difficulty of this course outside of two of the par fives, which I'll talk about here briefly, all 16 of the other holes play at a scoring average of even par or worse. Um, with the unpredictability of the wind as well, the two par fives are no guarantee for birdies either. I mentioned those things with the par five because this year, the 10th hole, which was formerly a very difficult par four, was extended by 20 yards and converted to a par five. So that adds to that makes it three par fives on this course, and that hole now becomes much more manageable, much more scoreable than a 500 plus yard par four that was really difficult to score on. So that does help. In a sense, it's not going to change the course a ton, just maybe move the winning score by 3 or 4 strokes at the end because it now is a reachable hole to get a birdie on. Of course, this course is known for the bear trap, the quote unquote bear trap, which is a stretch of holes 15, 16, and 17. And that plays as the fourth most difficult three-hole stretch on the entire PGA Tour. The only courses that offer harder holes are Quail Hollow 16-18, Pebble Beach 8 through 10, and Mirrorfield Village 16 through 18. So the Bear Trap um, will and has caused people to both win and lose this event over the years. Uh, Water is heavily featured on this bear trap. It includes two 175-yard par threes and a tight dogleg par four. Also, yeah, it is a features a cut line that's typically above par. Over the last, I think it was last 10 years, every year has been over par for that cut line. The medium field score has set an even par or worse in 7 of the last 8 years as well. And the score of minus 10 or less has been enough to win this event in 8 of the last 11 seasons. And yeah, we saw 114 win last year, so that wasn't part of that statistic, but typically minus 10 could get you across that finish line. Beyond that, the weather this week doesn't look too bad. Some little bit of rain on Sunday. It's going to be cloudy. Highs aren't where you would expect them to be down in Florida this time of year. But of course, winds will be present all throughout the week. So that's worth noting as well. But anything else about this course or anything field, Jake, I forgot to mention?
Nope, I think you nailed it.
All right, let's move on to our DFS plays. What we do each and every week, we have five monetary categories of DraftKings scoring or pricing, $10,000 plus, the 9,000s, the eights, the sevens, and the 1,600 and below. So we'll start here with the $10,000 plus, the big guns, Jake. There's only five selections you can choose from this week. Who are we going with and why?
Yeah, I always find myself going to the top of this range, just thinking that people are not going to be playing the most expensive guy. They'd rather save up their money. So I'm going to stick with that, and I'm going with Rory McIlroy at 12,200. That is a lot of money to pay for a golfer who is just quite frankly not in some good form. His last two appearances on the PGA Tour at Pebble Beach were T66, where he barely made the cut, and a T24 at the Genesis, which when you're paying 12.2, you should not be expecting that results. You should be expecting top five results. So why go to Rory? I think that you're going to get a discounted ownership and you're also getting a premier golfer. Um, I think the only reason he's playing this tournament, quite frankly, is because he's in the match today against Max Homa when we record. So it'll be tomorrow or yesterday for you guys when you listen. Um, but just for a convenience factor, he's already in Florida. But I'm a true believer in every time he tees it up, he wants to win, especially not being in the best of form. You might want to round it out a little bit before the elevated events come. I believe the API is next week, but extremely long driver of the golf ball, great on approach, generally speaking, positive with the putter. So profiles well for this course, in my opinion. And, you're paying the price tag for a golfer who you might be able to get a win out of and some low ownership.
You mentioned it with that ownership plausibility argument, I guess you should say. I mean, I'm right there with you. I mean, I looked at Rory's price and I said, no, thank you. And I moved on. So, I mean, there's at least one person there that's not going to play Rory this week. But again, he's far and away the best golfer in this field. And there's no doubt about that. You're paying up for that price. But hey, again, we're seeing a price range of 5,000 golfers in the 5,000. So there's way to find value this week outside of your typical 6,000 or 6,900 below guys. So if you're trying to play Rory, there are some names down in the 5,000 category that caught my eye. So see it as we get a chance here if you're going to pay Rory at what 11-3 or 12-3. if you can play a guy in the fives, you're pretty much knocking Rory down to the 11s, and that's fine of where you're going to play Rory. So I have no argument against that one. I'm going to go with I guess you went with the most expensive guy. I'll go with the second most expensive guy and go Cameron Young this week. Just keep it easy. We'll rattle off the top. I'm a I'm a really big fan of how he models this week and the form he's in as well. He's in some rather good form. The last two outings, of course, T60 the Genesis and T8 the WM Phoenix Open, outside of playing a third of the Dubai Desert Classic, where a final round of +3 took him out of it. He very well could have beaten Rory McIlroy and Adrian Moronk, who leapfrogged him. He was ahead of those guys, or at least tied with Rory on the final day. But Adrian leaped him because of that +2. So very well in the mix there, and a very good field as well. Models very well this week. T16th, or he played here in 2022. Last time he played this event, I think the only time possibly as well. T16th there, currently 14th on the tour off the tee. He is additionally 32nd in ball striking, 47th in par four, 51st in approximate hole from 125 to 200. He does things well. And, when it comes to Cam Young, the argument is the putter, right? That's what's going to keep him down each and every week, and the things that happen with that. But we'll take a look at what he's done recently. He lost just 0.387 strokes putting the Genesis, but then he gained 5.214 the WM Phoenix Open. I know the grasses are different, but if he has the ability to come out and spike putt to that's not just a little bit of a spike. That's a massive spike to go from, pretty much losing a third of a stroke a week prior, or yeah, in one tournament, and then gaining 5+ in another one. That's a massive swing. So he has this ability to come out, and that's what Cameron Young needs. We've talked about this so many times, is the confidence in himself. If he's able to come out with a hot putter combined with everything else in this field, he very well could use this event to win his first PGA Tour event.
Yeah, I think you said it really well. He's in some great form too, which really helps. Kind of similar to Justin Thomas, right? Last season, really crappy. We've hammered that home between the two of them, but both of them have come out like guns blazing in 2024. So it's a welcome sight to see. And like you said, the spike numbers with the putter are exactly what you're looking for in both outright and DFS, because I mean, in DFS less so than outright, but also it's great to see the spike numbers. You know, when you're looking for a guy in an outright market, you're looking for the spike numbers because the second place wins you just as much as last place. So, but a win always helps, right? So, in some good form, if he gets that putter going, I like that selection this week.
Very well. I'd love to see him in the win column. I know we talked about this so many times
Yeah.
since last fall, but it's due. It's due, and it could be coming this week. So move on to the 9,000 price range, which is in my opinion, a pretty loaded price range. You can go pretty much anyone in this price range, and I'd feel okay about that. But I'm going to just go with the defending champion here, and Chris Kirk at 9.4, right in the middle. I think there's great value there as well. We know that he matches up to this course perfectly because, of course, he won here last year, doing so -14. But beyond that, models well, of course. I mean, what can I say? A former champion, and he's not going to model well to this event. But sixth on tour in par fours, eighth in scrambling, 13th bogey avoidance, 21st in approach, 25th off the tee, 33rd in ball striking, and approximate hole from 125 to 200. He's also placed outside of that victory here a season ago in 2022. He was T7th, and then a top 25 in 2021 as well. So he knows his way around this course, some great history. I know his last outing, he did miss the cut. What was that at the Genesis? Very poor performance there, and that was an elevated event, so you really had to do some work to miss the cut there. I think it was going to be with outside of 10 strokes from the lead or something like that to miss the cut there. But beyond that, of course, won the Century Tournament Champions this season. A great resume and everything about it. So again, ownership, just being a defending champion, may be a bit of a concern, but there are just so many names around him in this 9K price range that are going to take some ownership. It's not like there's two or three glaring names that everyone's going to be on this price range. There is a handful of guys you can be on. So at 9.4, save yourself a few dollars, and might as well go the defending champion here.
Yeah, I like that selection. And like you said, the love is totally going to be shared in this 9K range because there's a lot of great options here. So the thing is, you just go with the person that you trust the most and that you like the best. And I can't fault you for picking Chris Kirk here. Defending champion has already won this season. We know that he's an absolutely baller iron player. It'll come down to him spiking with that putter. But yeah, no bad words to say about Chris Kirk. It would be a great story to see him as the first two-time champion in the 2024 season. That would be fun to see.
You have all the names you can think of, Chris Kirk. wouldn't come to mind. But yeah, you mentioned there's so many valuable players. I mean, Eric Cole's in this price range. He's going to get a bunch of ownership, just a bunch of names. And I don't know if I just took your pick there or not, but I just wanted to reiterate the fact that there's a lot to love to be shared in this price range.
Yeah, this might be a hot take or come back to bite me, but I'm going to avoid Eric Cole as
Same,
much as I possibly can this week.
100%.
He's going to be highly owned. He's going to be hammered in the outright market. It's just I think the value is all sucked out on him, and I don't know if he has enough to get across the finish line. But moving on to my selection in the 9K range, I'm going with someone who I think could win, but is also going to garner some good ownership. Is Ben On at 9,500. I know that he was one of the first names spoken about in our Discord this morning. The number was high and has been bet down, so I don't really endorse the outright bet as much anymore, but I still love it in DFS. He's in some good form this season. If you take out his WM Phoenix Open, he has three top 20 finishes, which is what we like to see. And he also has he has two top five finishes at the Honda Classic, and last year he finished T21. So we know he can get it done here. And personally, when I think of Ben On, I think of him playing in Florida, his best golf. So that is also a plus here. Super long off the tee, good with the irons, great around the green. It'll come down to the putter. What I like to see at the beginning of the year, he was gaining just under or about a stroke per round with the putter, which is awesome. But in his last two starts, he's lost a little bit, almost a stroke per round with the putter. So seems like he might be losing it there just a little bit. But if he can get that beginning of the season form with the putter back, I could see Ben On taking this tournament down.
Yeah, very much so. He's one of those guys that I feel like no matter what the course is, he's going to model rather well, right? Um, but yeah, I love that play. I don't have him on DFS or my outright card, but you mentioned it. He was one of those guys that was the first topic in Discord this morning, and he opened pretty well. And then, like you said, his number has fallen quite quickly. But ownership's going to be pretty high on him. But again, this 9K price range, we don't know what to expect because I can go through and list off nine guys here. Not nine guys, probably nine guys, but five guys here that could warrant a play in any lineup and can get it done. So all right, rolling on into the 8K price range. This is where I have a lot of love and a lot of value this week, in my opinion. Um, I spoke about my guy in Discord early this morning, but I like to kick this one off.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Luke List at 8,100. I've been kind of on List all season quietly, whether it be DFS or outright. And I can't find myself taking my finger off the button quite yet. He's been pretty awful at the Honda Classic. His last three appearances, he has missed the cut in all three. But in 2018, he has a solo second finish, and in 2016, a top 10 finish. So, the finishes are there at the tournament. He had a T2 at the Genesis, the most recent time we saw him tee it up, which is huge. But the thing that I love most about List is that he's an absolutely elite approach player, and he's been nuclear with the putter in his last two starts. Even when he missed the cut at the Phoenix Open, he gained over a stroke per round with the putter. And at the Genesis, he gained 1.86 strokes per round with the putter. So when you think of List, you don't think of the putter. I know at the end of last year, he kind of got it together a little bit, but um, he's been absolutely nuclear in his past few starts with the putter. Couple that with the elite iron play and the distance off the tee, and I think this is a perfect spot for List to come through and win this season.
Yeah, you mentioned it. That's what we got a Luke List is excellent iron play. The approach numbers are always going to be there. Just if you can get done with the putter, he's done it this season. Like he was in contention to what was it, Genesis. He very well could have won that event. But yeah, he's
Yep.
been close a few times. But again, down here in the 8-1, getting yourself a good value on a guy who has proven this season not too long ago, a few weeks ago, that he can compete for not only a championship or a title, but at a big event with a lot of big names around him. So I like that play a lot of great value there. I'm gonna go with a guy who's won this season already again and go Matthew Pavon. 8,700 is where I have him at. I guess I don't have him at because everyone has him at 8,700, right? This isn't the outright
Yep.
market, but oh man, he was actually top of my model this week in terms of my stats based model. I just loved everything that came up at us. Not only did he win this season at the Farmers Insurance, he placed third at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro Am as well. So some great performances. Also T7th at the Sony Open in Hawaii. He is in some great form since coming over from the DP World Tour, and yeah, he's currently first on the entire PGA Tour in stroke game approach. Number one, better than Scotty Scheffler at this point, is Matthew Pavon. So that is fantastic to see, and that's what I love about him. Third in par four average scoring, 14th bogey avoidance, 20th in stroke game putting Bermuda as well. Not known to be a very good putter, but I guess when it comes to Bermuda and what he's done so far in the PGA Tour, he's been doing it well, getting the flat stick to roll in his favor. So I'd like to see that number as well. 27th in both ball striking and proximate hole from 125 to 200. So it really is those elite approach numbers that he's going to bring to the table each and every week, at least thus far through the season, combined with a hot putter, really could push him through. He's still a guy who has a lot to play for. He just came to the PGA Tour playing for the first time as a card holder on the PGA Tour, so he still has a lot to play for. I know he's won. He still has the possibility. I know not this season, but future seasons playing the Masters, things like that. So he has that possibility to use this hot start to the season to really propel himself for not only the rest of the season but the future overall for what he has in store in the PGA Tour moving forward. But yeah, just love what he brings to the table this week. And again, he hasn't played this event, so there's no course history there. But just being elite right now with his approach play has really got me excited here. 8-7.
Yeah, I can't fault you for that. He has been absolutely nuclear. He won the Farmers Insurance, then came in third at Pebble Beach, like you said. The numbers are absolutely astounding. He gained over 2 strokes per round putting in both of those, and gained 2.5 strokes on approach at the Pebble Beach and 1.8 at the Farmers. Like that is nuclear level for both of those. So can't fault you for going to Pavone and DFS and outright. It's just we haven't seen him in a while, right? The Pebble Beach was what, almost 3 weeks ago, maybe two, three
This
weeks ago,
this would
whatever
be
it
three.
was.
There's two events in between, so this would be the third week. Yeah.
Right. So I'm not exactly sure what he's been up to. From California over to here, I'm sure that he spent a little bit of time in Florida getting ready for this tournament, but that's the only hesitation I have with Pavone this week is that we haven't seen him in a bit, but he's been absolutely nuclear to start this year. And over the last 5 months, he has 2 wins, so he's been
Yeah.
awesome.
Fair argument to make nonetheless. But yeah, we could hope that this little downtime isn't going to deter him and he comes out all guns a blazing here at PJ National. So on to the $7,000 price range, kicking off here with my guy Doug Gim, 7,000 right on the dot. He is currently eighth on tour in proximity to the hole from 125 to 200. So those long irons are really dialed in right now for him. 16th in ball striking, 18th in approach, 25th in bogey avoidance, 30th off the tee, 30th around the green. I can keep going. 44th and scrambling, 59th and par four is like checking those boxes. Again, it's the putter when it comes to Doug Gim. That's what we know about him. He's going to either probably not do too well on the greens, but looking at what he's done, he lost just 0.086 strokes last week in Mexico, but he also gained 1.127 at the WA Phoenix Open and 1.353 at the Farmers Insurance in his last three outings there. So he's been about even or gaining one stroke on the field when it comes to putting in his last three events. Fantastic numbers going along with a T8th at Mexico last week, T12th at Phoenix, and T13th at the Farmers Insurance. So good form as well. Right down here, 7,000 smack dad. Bottom of this price range. Can't go any further down here in this price range. So great value overall, in my opinion. The stats match up, great form. And if he can keep that putter going to the positive of 1.5 strokes, everything else is going to follow suit. Eventually, I keep saying this about a lot of guys, but Doug Gim could get across the finish line. Hopefully, it's this week on my card.
Yeah, I love that play. He's also one of my selections in this range. My only hesitation with Gim was that he missed the cut in his three appearances here, which isn't so
Yeah,
great.
that the course. I omitted the course history for a reason.
Yep. But he's been awful with the putter at this tournament. But surprisingly, he's also been awful on approach, which is very uncharacteristic of Gims. So, given his recent swing of form, especially with the putter and with his approach and his irons, I can totally endorse the play. I'm going to be playing him in a couple lineups myself. But I'm going to the top of this range, quite opposite of you. I'm going with Tom Hoge at 7,900. One of the things that you highlighted in your review of the course was that wedge play is not necessarily going to be a factor, which is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Hoagie. But for that reason, I think that you might get a little bit of a discounted ownership, and I think that's okay to just take him. He's been absolutely insane form wise. Eighth at the Genesis, T17th at the Phoenix Open, T6 at the Pebble Beach in his last three starts. He's been great with the irons. Let it be known that it's probably with the shorter irons. I don't necessarily have the breakdown in front of me, but when you got the irons going, you get the irons going. What's the difference between 100 and 125 yards? For some people, it's big. For Hoagie, I don't think that's necessarily a huge jump from his game. He could still hit those irons pretty well. Very accurate off the tee also, and good with the putter. Course history has been pretty awful, considerable with Doug Gim. He's missed the cut in his last four starts here, but again, going off his recent form, good putting, good iron play. I'm taking my chance on him.
Yeah, what we know about Tom Hoagie is he's one of the premier, at least of the last decade, probably on the tour, premier ball strikers, premier approach players. That's what he does. That's what he's made his name doing. He's won the Pebble Beach doing it that way. I think it was what 21 at this point where he won at the Pebble Beach, or maybe 22. But either way, that's what he does. Tom Hoagie comes out and he's going to give you some crisp iron play on approach shots. Approach numbers are always going to be in his favor. He does get the putter rolling decently as well. Just the rest of it kind of can be lackluster for Tom Hoagie. But man, some good form. When he shows up, he shows up. It's not like you don't really see a Tom Hoagie 52nd or something like that. It's either miscut or flirting with a top 15, top 10 Tom Hoagie. That's what we get out of him. So hopefully for your sake, it's the top 10 Tom Hoagie that we see this week. But yeah, Tom Hoagie, he's one of my fan favorites. So love to see that. Love to see that. So move on to our final price range of the episode of the whatever you want to say. I don't know where I'm going with this, but 1600 and below. This is where the difference makers are made. Again, this week we have some guys in the 5K price range. So there is a lot of ability for flexibility down here. And yeah, Jake, I think it's your turn to kick this one off.
Yeah, I love the top of this 6K range. I really can't decide between the three guys, but if I have to talk about anyone, I think I'm gonna have to go with Davis Thompson. I'll pick. All right, 6,800. We were both on him last week. We said it was his week to shine. Pretty
It wasn't though.
lackluster to make the. No, it was not. It was a lackluster start, shooting 270, so one under, just making the cut. And then on Saturday, he had an absolutely baller round that if Knapp or Valimaki didn't go crazy, he would have put himself right in contention. But then ends up shooting an even par on Sunday. But I'm hoping he can build off of that Saturday round where he played well. He's long off the tee, good with the putter, good on approach. And also his form, like we said last week, a T24 last week might have been a little disappointing to us, but it's still a good finish on the PGA
Oh yeah.
Tour. T15 at the WM Phoenix Open and a T21 at the American Express. Again, I'm not ready to take my finger off the button with Davis Thompson just yet.
Yeah, like I said, last week we liked them, both of us. We were playing them. I played DFS and on the outright. I'm sure you did as well. But yeah, good approach numbers, like you mentioned, good ball striking numbers, good total driving, proximity, those long irons. He's there above average, so he does everything we want him to this week, right? So, like you said, he has the that recent round at the Mexico Open on Saturday to build off of, and sometimes that's what it takes for a guy to maybe it wasn't a full complete 4 rounds together, but that one round where they can just kind of reflect on what they did right and kind of use it to move forward. So we can hope that is the favor for Davis Thompson. So I'm gonna go if I can get my stuff loaded here with Grayson Sig at 6,100. I'm going to the bottom. I'm going to save myself a few dollars here, but again, I'm sure his ownership is going to be very minimal. I don't think there's going to be much of a Sig hype this week. So along with that, a lot of flexibility. He's played here twice and missed the cut both times, so we're not looking at course form here. I guess we can omit that as well. But recently, man, he's not in that bad of form. T19th last week in Mexico Open, so top 20 there. He also plays T17th in the American Express. He's currently 10th on tour in bogey avoidance, 11th in scrambling. So he's a very, very good scrambler. 15th in those approximate the hole from 125 to 200. Very good with the long irons. I do like that. 30th in ball striking, 32nd in approach, 59th in par four, 69th off the tee, and he's 106th in strokes gained putting on Bermuda. So the putting data isn't really there to support us. But 106 isn't that bad. That's about an average go of things. So what I'm going here with some great iron play, some really good long iron play, and the ability to scramble here, it's absolutely needed here at PJ National. Whatever they throw at you, to be able to scramble and save par on some of these more difficult holes that play above par will go a long way for Grayson Siggett. I'm playing him on the outright. I will put that out there, but I'm really just here for him to make the cut. If we can get him across the line, which he hasn't proven to be able to do in the last two events, I would like that, especially at 6,100.
Yeah, and like I said previously in this episode, is you're looking for guys who can kind of just spike with their stuff, especially in DFS to make the cut in this range. And in his last six starts, he has three top 20 finishes, missed cuts, and one he made the cut finish T66. So pretty much dead last after that. So, it's one of those where you might get a missed cut, you might get a top 20, and that's the risk that you got to take in this range because if you get that top 20, he's a great builder for, taking down a whole contest. But I can't leave this range, Nate, without mentioning my other two guys.
Okay.
One of them is Akshay Bhatia,
Yep.
who, if you throw out his last round where he missed the cut at the WM Phoenix Open, he gains in four straight rounds with the putter, and we know that he's an elite approach player. To see him in the 6K range is absolutely insane to me.
Yeah, I mean, we both talked about him at that W Phoenix Open for the same reason because we were kind of blown away by his putting stats at that point. For going from being one of the worst on tour last season to start the season and being, I think it was top 20 at the time when it came to putting. So I know we talked about him there, and again, we know what he does with the approach play and everything like that. So yeah, a great play in the 6K. Ownership's gonna be through the roof though.
Yeah, no, I agree. But also the next guy, Thomas Dietrich, I think he was in like the 10K range last week, right? Or high nines. I know it was a worse field, but we're now seeing him at 6,900 after he finished, I'm pretty sure dead last week. Really poor showing, but getting him at 6'9", that is super interesting to me because he kind of feeds off of these weaker end events. And I know
Oh
that
yeah,
Mexico literally fit that bill perfectly, but he had a T4 at the Pebble Beach, a T20 at the Farmers, a T28 at the WM Phoenix Open, which is not a jabroni field by any means. Um, could he get it back together this week at 6,900 and, build a lineup off that?
yeah. We talk about value here, and if people want to, mark him off because of what he did last week, go ahead and keep his ownership down because you're getting a heck of a golfer in this field. And I'm reflecting back to the Honda Classic last year, and I before he withdrew, Thomas Dieter was my favorite to win the entire event last season. So I know that his game can measure up to this event. So yeah, great value there. And again, if we just exclude what we did last week, I mean, it'd be kind of dumb not to play with him.
Yeah, for sure.
If we're naming guys in this price range, I'm going to go with Jonathan Villegas too at
Yep.
6,600. What I like about him, nothing really jumps off the page at you, but what he's done here is made the cut in 7 straight seasons at this event. So dating back to 2017, he's made the cut every one of the seasons. He also placed T4th in 2017. So if you're looking for a guy down here in this price range to get across a cut line, Velgas is that guy because he's been doing it for close to a decade. There was an event he didn't play. I think 16 missed the cut, and 15 that made the cut, and 14 as well. So he knows his way around this course. He knows how to make the cut here, and doesn't model too poorly as well. So looking for another guy there. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, can't fault you for that. I like that call out also.
All right, before we keep going in the 6K range, let's move on to our betting card side of things. What we do here is we have three different categories to talk about for our betting card. We have our overall favorite, self-explanatory. You can place one bet, who would it be? We have our personal favorite, which is maybe the best value found, a golfer the community is out on that year in on. Maybe just a personal favorite golfer, and of course, the final one's a long shot. Self-explanatory is there. So let's jump back here to the top here, Jake. You can place one bet this week. Who would it be and why?
Yeah, my one bet this week would have to be Akshay Bhatia at 70-1. I think that's a great number for a guy who's been great with the putter recently. Throw out his last tournament and you'd love him. Also, I think his number would be slashed in half if he played well at the WM Phoenix Open. So happy to catch a 70 on him and hope that he could spike with everything.
Yeah, I like that a lot. We talked about him already. I'm going to go Cam Young here. I'm really, really in favor of Cam Young winning this week. 22-1 was a great value, too, to be like pretty much a second guy, second fiddle to Rory this week. So I thought it was great value. I mean, even if you're playing a unit on him, that's some good value, especially for someone that is the second or third most favorite guy in this field in terms of what the books say. So I like that a lot. Move on to our personal favorite golfer, middle tier here, essentially. What are you playing here, Jake?
Yeah, I'm going with Hoagie. I think that people are kind of out on him because they just picture him as a small wedge player who's great, but I'm hoping he's going to spike with those irons at 66 to 1. I couldn't resist that number. I think he's down closer to 55. So I think I got a little bit of value there, but I still endorse the 55. Great putter, great iron player, and hoping to put it together from a little bit of distance this week.
Yeah, I haven't checked to see any movement on my lines or anything like that since I placed them early this morning when the books dropped. In this situation, I think I'm going to go with Doug Gim at 80 to 1. I think it's some great value. We talked about his form, everything he does this week to match up. If he can spike that putter to give me contention, I know I have some various other names I could talk about, but they're all kind of boring compared to Doug Gim. So I'm gonna go with Doug Gim in this price range. So, all right, who's your long shot?
Yep, my long shot this week is Lee Hodges at 170 to 1. I missed the 200. It was one of those that I clicked it, went to go deposit, and then it updated on me. So I'm still happy with the 170. He's above average in driving accuracy, approach, and putting, which is what I'm looking for. In his two appearances here, he has a T9 and a T14. So the course form is there, and coming off of a T24 at the Genesis, which was, elevated event, played with some big dogs. I kind of like what I'm seeing from Lee Hodges, 170 to 1 felt like it was worth a shot to me.
Yeah, in the same nature. I went with Grayson Zig at 200 to 1, and I got him at 200 to 1. Same thing. I mean, the way this season's been going, can't really make fun of anyone for these long shot hopefuls because we've seen some crazy ones hit. I think Murray was 1,000 to 1, and Dunlap was 500 to 1. So, at 200 to 1, nothing's out of the question here. So Grayson Zig's my play there. All right, Jake, anything else about this event or field or DFS betting cards you're going to mention before we move on?
No, I think we covered it.
There we go. So moving on to the DP World Tour side of things, we got 2 weeks left here on the quote unquote international swing before they move to their Asian swing, which it doesn't really make sense to me. But anyways, Asian swing that gets interrupted by two majors in the mix of it. But yeah, so the DP World Tour moving down from Kenya last week down to South Africa for a 2 week stay there. SDC Championship. Um, yeah, it is held at St. Francis Links in Eastern Cape, South Africa. Last season was the inaugural playing of this event and the first time St. Francis was played on the DP World Tour. It is kind of a bit of a staple on the Sunshine Tour, where it also hosted the. I'm gonna get this wrong, probably the South African PGA Championship for the last 3 or 4 years. So it is nothing, out of the ordinary for a lot of these South African people or golfers to have played before. So it is a familiar track to them. So yeah, we'll see that reflected in a lot of bets this week with South Africans favored. And their odds may be shorter because of that. But the field this week, again, like the PGA, a smaller field as many golfers prepare for this Asian swing. We don't get to see many of the top tier names in the DP World Tour, but there are some good ones. Leading the way here is, South African Xander Lombard. He is the odds-on favorite this week to win, looking to claim his first DP World Tour title, and doing so on home soil would be a cool story to see. Of course, there'll be several more South Africans in this field, not only because this event is co-sanctioned with the Sunshine Tour, but yeah, Tristan Lawrence, Henny Duplessis, Jaden Schapper, Luis De Jager, and Brandon Stone, of course, among others. And yeah, other notable names this week field include Rikuo Hoshino, Ewan Ferguson, Tom McKibben, Jordan Smith, Anton Rosner, Kaden Nakamia, Jost Luton, and Nicholas Norgard. Matthew Baldwin, defending champion, won the inaugural play-in last season. Uh, it was actually his 200th event on the DP World Tour before he took his first title down. Last year, he chased down Norway's Christian Kroh Johansson in a weather-affected event to do so. It was a good one to watch in that nature. But St. Francis is a link-style par 72 at 7,192 yards, designed by Jack Nicklaus himself, opened 2006, and then voted the best golf course in South Africa in 2007, and has since been touted as one of the top 10 courses in the entire country. Again, plays as a traditional link style course, four par fours, four par threes. The par 4, 5th, 8th, and 12th holes are described as risk reward holes. The tees are not artificially perched above the playing area, and the holes all follow the terrain. So it is kind of blind for a lot of these tee shots. Golfers can't really see what's going on below them, so they need a quote unquote sighter to help them navigate this course. Taking advantage of the par fives will be absolutely crucial this week. If you look back, although not a DP World Tour event, Coetzee won this in 2022 and shot 12 under on the par fives, and he won this event at 15 under. So only three other birdies or eagles or whatever were made outside of the par fives. Scrambling, of course, is kind of the key stat here this week with the links layout. Finding the fairways is far and few between, so you'll be playing from the rough, the vegetation, all of that quite often. So saving par for the rough and around the green is crucial. 8 of the last 10 winners of this event have ranked first, ninth, second, sixth, 12th, third, and then of course Baldwin last season at 13th and scrambling this event. So that goes to show how important scrambling is here at this event. Putting, of course, will also be important. The worst any winner of this event has ranked in putts per round is 21st back in 2018. Dean Burmeister in 2021 is the only other winner to rank outside the top 10 in putts per round. Baldwin ranked second last year in putting average en route to victory. Again, this event has hosted 11, or this course has hosted 11 events in the Sunshine Tour, and of course, including the last 3 editions of the South African PGA Championship. Of course, wind will be a factor. That's what this course and these link styles do allow, is the wind to be involved with being just wide open and things like that. So wind will be a factor. Beyond that, weather isn't too big of a deterrent this week. Wind will be in play. Small chance of rain on Sunday, but beyond that, pretty straightforward. So anything about St. Francis or the field or anything like that I forgot to mention here, Jake?
No, I think you covered it well.
Easy enough. So let's move on to our betting card. I know you have 4, I have 5. So I'll kick it off this week. I'm just going to go to the top of the card. Or simple enough, going back to Xander Lombard. I've played him enough this season to justify playing him here when he's the odds-on favorite to win. Grabbed him this morning at 14-1, 2 units there. Not a sexy number by any means, but I think he is far and away the favorite to win this event. Not only do I agree with that, but of course the books do place him here at the top of the list. But again, home soil, looking for that first DP World Tour victory, and he's been close recently. He's been so hot to start this season. Let's see. I'm trying to find the stats here as I ramble on here. What was it? In his last outing, he placed T16th in the Qatar Masters. Prior to that, T2nd the Bahrain Championship. Also placed T13th in the Ras Al Khaimah, T16th here Dubai Classic, T6th the Dubai International. Early this season in South Africa, he went T4th at Joburg, T12th at the South African Championship, and T25th at the Alfred Dunhill Championship. So the worst finish through, I think, 8 events he's played on this season has been T25. So everything's been a top 25 for Lombard this season. Of course, stats-wise, he's going to measure up this week, leading the way. 14th in scrambling, 16th in putting, 18th off the tee, 22nd in par fives, 23rd in green relations, 29th around the green, 36th in approach, 39th around the green. So checks all those boxes I want. Everything he does this week excites me. So again, he's taken a bit of my money so far this season. He's been close a few times, but I think this is the time he gets over the hurdle and gets it done on home soil. So I'm right there.
Yeah, I like that call out. He's been playing some of the best golf over the last 4 months that we've seen on the DP World Tour. I know I gave that title to who did I give it to last week? The Scotty Scheffler of
Oh
the
my
DP
gosh,
World
yeah, I'm
Tour,
blanking because
who
it was it was
uh
LaCroix.
yes, and he ended up not being so great last year.
No,
But um a close second here with Lombard, just playing some absolute great golf here. He's been great with the putter, which is what we love to see. I know he's a positive putter, generally speaking. But yeah, I can't fault you. The only thing is in his last appearance, which was last year, obviously, a T41, so not so great, but definitely not coming in on the form that he's coming in this year. So
no.
would be a great story, and I'm fully endorsing that storyline for Lombard.
Yeah, he also played an event on the Sunshine Tour last or 2 weeks ago. He hasn't played since
Yeah.
the desert swing within his international swing, but he also plays T6 there in that event. Not really in it to win it, but he still came out and showed up. And T6 in any professional golf event is going to be a good one, especially here in South Africa.
Yeah, definitely. Going into my selection here, I'm going with Connor Syme at 35 to 1. He had a great week last week, finished T7th at the Magical Kenya Open. He was right there at the end, then just did not come up with the Sunday round that he needed to really crack that top five or even win. Um, but he does everything just pretty decently. He's above average on approach. He's about accurate with the driver in distance and accuracy, which is good. A little below in putting and around the greens. So a little bit of a discount or a Walmart, as I like to say, Walmart Xander Lombard. But coming in on the recent form with a T7 and also having a T14 here last year, I think 35 is a good number on him. So I'm taking my shot there.
Yeah, this field is a pretty weak field. Once we kind of get past, the 40s, the 50s, somewhere in that range, we start losing touch with who we know. We're getting into Sunshine Tour guys, Challenge Tour guys, things like that. So yeah, a good value for someone who, on the season is putting extremely well, 12th in strokes game putting, gets the, positive in the approach. He's a good scrambler as well. So yeah, also being Scottish, I mean, he's grown up playing link style courses. So that's a big help as well.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to my next selection, I'm going with my guy, Josh Luton, 28 to 1. When it comes to courses that require strong iron play, accuracy off the tee, Luton's going to be there for me. Uh, Currently third on tour in scrambling. He scrambles extremely well. 19th off the tee. He's 33rd in driving accuracy. He's 41st in approach, 42nd green regulation. What really is the downfall for Luton? Typically, it's putting, but he's close to positive in the putting aspect of things, maybe slightly below, but it's around the green work for Josh Luton. He's one of the worst around the green golfers in the entire world, and sometimes it's dreadful watching him try to do something around the green because you feel like at this point in his career, being 40 some years old, he should have developed any form of around the green work. But either way, I love to bet this guy. I forget what event it was last season where he had like a 4-stroke lead on Sunday and then gave it away to Thurston Lawrence. I was on him that week at like 60 to 1, but that's either here nor there. But he did play here a year ago, T9th finish this season ago here at this event. He hasn't played a ton this season. I think just 4 events, but in those 4 events, T33rd at the Qatar Masters, T21 here at Dubai Classic, and T14th at the Dubai Desert or Dubai Invitational. So some good finishes there as well, but just stats wise measured up. And again, plays well here, T9th last season. So a good amount of positives there for Josh Luton.
Yeah, I mean, I love the recent, the course history here. I mean, really just last year, like a T9 is great for him. And you're getting an elite iron player at, at that number is fantastic. So I can't fault you for going to Luton there at that number. But I think we align on our or on my next pick. It's going to be Jaden Schaefer
Yep.
at 40 to 1. Um, just playing some great golf. If you throw out, I guess he played that Sunshine Tour event that Lombard did where he missed the cut. And the Bahrain Championship, he missed the cut. But really, outside of that, over the last couple months, he's been playing some good golf. He had 4 consecutive top 10 finishes at the end of November to the middle of December. And then a T23 at the Ras Al Khaimah, a T24 at the Qatar Masters. He missed the cut here last year, which isn't so great, but playing in some much better form. And I believe he was on the championship tour before he was on the DP World Tour. So could be familiar with this. Also, South African, familiar with it. But yeah, I think the number is great, 40 to 1 for Shaper this week.
No doubt about it. He was one of the first guys I saw and clicked that 41 number. Again, looking for his maiden or DP World Tour victory. It'll be nice to do so here on home soil. But you mentioned it earlier this season in South Africa on the DP World Tour, T9th at Joburg, T5th at South African Open, and T7th at the Alfred Dunhill Championship. So he's playing some great golf in South Africa. 40 to 1 in this field. I think it's fantastic. He does good things. He's 17th on tour and putting right now. He gets the ball rolling in his favor, 22nd in scrambling, 41st in green regulation, 46th in accuracy, 47th in approach. So he's checking those boxes for me with a great number. So yeah, right there with you. So
Awesome.
that leaves us with what, two each? Guess I'll
Yep.
go here with Manuel Livre, 55 to 1, fresh off the best performance of the season with a fourth place finish last week in the Magical Kenya Open. Also placed T12th earlier this season at Joburg Open and T32nd the Alfred Dunhill Championship. He'll make his debut at this event. He did not play here last season, as there's only 1 year of course history to go off of. Currently sixth on tour in green relations, though, 14th off the tee, 38th in putting, 49th in driving accuracy, 52nd in around the green, 60th in scrambling. What concerns me slightly is his approach numbers, 120th approach, but he does have the ability to get hot with the irons. We saw it last week with a fourth with a T4 in Kenya. He got positive in the approach number, so he has that ability. He'll need it this week to do so, but everything else measures up for him. Some good numbers, as I mentioned. Once you start making your way towards the 50s and 60s, in terms of betting there, 55 to 1, 50 to 60 to 1, we start losing kind of touch with the guys that we do know on the DP World Tour. We're starting to see names we're not familiar with. So I do like the value there for someone who's fresh off a T4.
Yeah, no, I like that call out, and I think more so than the PGA Tour, recent form is more important than than just coming in with no form at all and playing in tournaments. So last week, I'm hoping that he could build off of what he did last week because he was really incredible. If he can carry that over into this week, I I mean, he definitely is live to win this tournament, especially in a bit of a weaker field DP World Tour event. So I like that call out for sure. Um, my next selection is going to be Ryan Van Velzen at 55 to 1. This guy has been hot all over Twitter. I'm going for back-to-back community DP World Tour winners this week, but a challenge tour guy, no strokes gained tour data on him really. But last week at the Magical Kenya Open at T11, which is good. And before that, he missed the cut in a Challenge Tour event, but his three before that are a solo second, a tied for seventh, and a win. So coming in on some great form and, coming in off of those Challenge Tour events to then play a DP World Tour event and come T11 in, a bit of a stronger field than we're seeing this week is pretty impressive. So again, similar to your logic, I'm hoping that he can build off of his form from last week and, get a good finish and win this week.
Yeah, someone like him has a lot to prove, right? This is a guy bouncing from a lower tier tour into a bigger one. We see it often. Usually it doesn't, go in the favor of the guy coming from a lesser tour. We've seen big names bounce up from, say, the Corn Ferry, the PGA, something like that, and they just kind of fizzle out. But coming in, like you said, just being a big dog on the sunshine and coming in for a T11th right out of the gate, that's super promising. And again, down here in South Africa, familiar with the place. He's probably played this course more than anyone in this field, as of late, especially. So I do like that as well. So yeah, I can't argue. I don't know anything about his data or his stats, anything like that. So I can't really go with you there. But yeah, I do like the points you are being made.
Yep.
All right, I'll finish off here with my favorite long shot to play in the DP World Tour and Thomas Aiken at 110 to 1. He's always at the number, no matter what the event is, no matter what the field looks like. It's Thomas Aiken, 110 to 1. But yeah, South African as well. So I do like that. He played here a year ago, T9, just like Josh Slutin. Plays a very similar game to Josh Slutin. He's accurate off the tee, strong approach play. That's what you're going to get. I mean, if you're looking for distance, Aiken is going to be the furthest thing from distance off the tee, but he's going to come with accuracy and he's going to play some crisp irons on the greens. T23rd last week in Kenya, not that bad. He also went T7th the Afro Asia Bank Moretus Open and T17th the Joburg Open, so some decent performances there in the season as well. Currently second on tour in driving accuracy. Again, super accurate off the tee. Seventh in approach, 20th in green regulations, 26th around the green, 32nd in scrambling, 54th in par fives, 83rd in putting. Downfall, of course, is that strokes game off the tee number, but again, that has a lot to do with his distance. So not too concerned there, but the course does require accuracy over distance this week. So really in favor of Thomas Aiken. And like I've been harping on since we started this discussion about this event is we're losing touch with a lot of these guys down here as long shots that we're kind of just taking chances on guys from various tours across, the Sunshine, the Challenge, things like that. Guys we don't know much about, but we know what Thomas Aiken is. We know what he's going to bring to the table. Former winner on the DP Road Tour, I think 3 times. So yeah, I think 110 is worth a shot with him.
Yeah, and I mean you were on him last week, so definitely can't take
Yes.
the finger off the button yet with him. Especially at a course that I would say fits him a bit better and just more comfortable in his home country. He had a T9 here last year, which is also great to see from Aiken. Building off that form and the course history, I cannot fault you at all. I might, if that 110 is still lingering around, I might have to join you there. But I'm also going to another guy at 110 to 1 who's South African. It's going to be Jocko Prinsloo. Um, coming in off of, if you just had the DP World Tour data, not so great form. T33 at the Qatar Masters, miscut at Bahrain, T37 at Ras Al Khaimah. It doesn't really get much better before that. But I'm looking at Challenge Tour stuff. He had a T10 and a T6 in his last 2 times teeing the golf ball up. The T6 was last week at this event. He had a T14 last year. So Prinsloo at 110 can maybe build off of that challenge tour. You know, that form that he's gotten through the challenge tour and the course history that he has here last year to, maybe come through and surprise us at 110 to 1 for a winner.
Yeah, looking here at his stats, I mean, nothing jumps off the page at you, but they're all rather well-rounded. Well-rounded. I mean, nothing super low. It's right around, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, somewhere around there. But again, super well-rounded guy that in a field like this, in a tournament that we don't know much about, right? We think we do with the sunshine data and all of that, maybe a season ago, but still, of course, it's very unfamiliar to us. In a field that's rather depleted, in my opinion, this could be a chance for someone like Prinsloo to kind of break out, and that's what the DP World Tour offers us. Is typically we don't see the deep on the PGA, but the season has been that way. But yeah, it could offer someone like Prinsloo to pop at 110 to 1 and take it down. So I do like the pick as well. All right. So I think the only thing we have to do here is bounce over to our one and done, which I'm not gonna lie to you, I forgot to update Jake as I was worried about DraftKings releasing their pricing at 2 p.m. this evening. Really put a damper on my preparation. So just trying to scroll
Yeah.
down and find it here, which is I'm not sure why it's taking me so long to find it. Do 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 do
I made it easy
do.
for you. My
Oh, here it
guy
is.
missed the cut, so nice $0.
I think my guy missed the cut as well. You had Sebastian Garcia. I had Alexander Levy, who I'm pretty sure missed the cut. Um,
It makes it
uh,
easy for keeping track, right?
yeah, that an easy week to look at. Let me just yeah, this is again. If you're listening on audio, this is great. I typed in Alexander Bjork, not Alexander Levy. My goodness, I'm very bad at this. You think I haven't been doing this for long? Yes, Alexander Levy missed the cut, and your guy missed the cut, so that makes it simple. I still lead you by approximately $80,000. So yeah, that makes it a easy update for us. So who are we playing this week, Jake?
Yeah, I'm coming for that money back. I'm going with Connor Syme at 35 to 1. I know I have him in the outright, and that doesn't necessarily matter for a one and done, but that is my selection for the one and done.
All right, and I think since you kind of want to come out swinging, just making sure I haven't played him yet because I know I've played a lot of these guys. I'm gonna go with Jaden Schapper this week. I haven't played him yet, and I think this is a chance for him to get on the win column on the DP World Tour, and sense maybe catapult me a bit further ahead of you on the side of things. So let me write that down so don't forget it later this week, and I'll be texting you like, "Hey, who was your play?" But I got it because I'm a professional.
Yep.
All right, anything left about this week we want to talk about before we hop off here?
No, I think we covered everything. I know the match is on today, so we'll be able to see how that goes. Um, Not necessarily my favorite thing in the entire world, but it is definitely entertaining and it's golf on a Monday, so who can complain?
I was about to make that point there. Golf. If I could have golf 7 days a week, I would very much enjoy that. I know I've made the argument where in the Discord. I don't know if I talked about it on the podcast here. If the Corn Ferry Tour did something like they played Mondays through Thursday, and then the PGA, of course, Thursday through Sunday, just so we can have golf all season, all week long. I think it'd be great just to be able to watch something because I get kind of bored Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday without golf on
Yep.
because it eats up a lot of my time. But all right, Jake, one more time before we do sign off here. People can find you on social media.
Yep, you can find me at DJ Freeman on Twitter or X. Join the Discord, good community there. Definitely a lot more constructive communication this week as the fields are a little bit tougher to navigate. But yeah, any questions about DFS or outrights, join the Discord. You won't only get mine and Nate's opinion on stuff or 2 cents, you'll get everyone in the Discord. So a really useful tool there for building your lineups and your outright cards if you want it.
Yeah, there definitely are some people there who aren't afraid to challenge you and break down your thought and process, which again is great for all of us to get a better understanding of what we're doing, or if you're trying to place a bet and someone just throws a name out there, why they got to that point. So it is great, and it is all in learning. So make sure you do join that. Again, if you're listening or watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and follow us along there. Again, all these podcasts will be posted there weekly. And again, we're going to start some video content down the stretch. The Masters is coming up. We're going to be doing something for that. Jake and I will be doing something for that. So pay attention for that, along with the one and done and all of that. It'll be great to stay in touch with you guys for that. Follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at WKF Nate. Everything else, follow We Know Fantasy on social media, wherever you are on social media, I guess, at We Know Fantasy. Visit WeKnowFantasy.com for some more fantasy sports content. Everything. Check out the We Know Fantasy Podcast Network. A lot of great things happening there across the board. And yeah, so I guess until next time, guys, we'll see you.